So our problem, luckily, was the subject of the general research, which was botrytis infection, and for us it occurs in our Chardonnay block every few years, and that is a problem I've been trying to resolve over time, and it occurs for various reasons, but partly because of the very high yields on that block.
So why did you decide to be a part of the trial?
So I thought it was a problem. I hadn't been able to fix it, and I thought a disciplined approach with Kathy's team and the trial could give us the answers by focusing on the problem and trying to find some solutions in a systematic way.
Yeah, so you were expecting to get some kind of benefits out of it? What were you expecting
look,
to get out of it?
we're unsure what the problem was. Was it the fungicide application, or was it something else like the density of the canopy? And they were probably the two major questions which we addressed in the course of the trial.
Tell me about your participation in this trial and what has been required of you.
The job of the grower hasn't been onerous. We've more or less continued our normal yearly cycle, but we've just had to adjust some sprays according to the treatment rows. So the thrust of this was not to interfere with us too much, but try enough to try and get some results. I think that was a good approach, given that the reason I think this is so important is that if we're on our own, we try things in an undisciplined way, reach a conclusion and then move on without really knowing what fixed it. So I think a more orderly approach is very beneficial.
So why was this trial distinctive to others?
The distinctive thing about this trial was the fact that it was not the highly constrained, replicated treatment design of a scientific experiment. It was more like traditional farm practice being examined very closely. And so we did treatments per row, assessed a whole row, and did several rows to get some idea of replication. So it seems to be a new approach, which I think is quite successful in that it is not intervening too much it's allowing the farmer to do the trial basically, and the methods that were used seem quite effective.
What have you learned from taking part in this trial?
So we learnt very clear cut that double-sided leaf plucking gave us significant improvement in our infection, decrease in our infection, and that was compared with one-sided leaf pluck, which has been our practice for the last couple of years. And the interpretation is that the overall issue is about airflow around the bunches. Botrytis thrives on free water that's not evaporating, and so it looks like increasing the airflow by double-sided leaf plucking is the answer. There may be some improvements with fungicide changes, including the way we put it on, but that's maybe something for the future.
How important are those findings to you? I guess, how valuable is it?
In the course of this trial, it was covering our Chardonnay area, which is small by most standards, 0.3 of a hectare. From that 0.3 this year we made an extra $5,000 because we didn't have the problem. So you multiply that over a larger area and it's a very significant saving.
So you'd expect, I guess, some value in other producers looking to do this trial?
Yes. Look, I think in this, particularly the north coast of Tasmania, which has got a humid climate, which is very good for some things, but it's bad for botrytis, that widespread adoption of this sort of thing will be a great help. One of the very significant outcomes was it enabled us to ripen the fruit for an extra week. Normally when botrytis infection starts, there's a a need to get in and pick quickly before it spreads. We had an extra week of ripening, and I've tasted the wines, the base wines that we made just 2 days ago, and they're looking very good. I think that extra ripening has helped, and this is at a very high yield by most standards. So combination of high yield and good quality is a very powerful production method.
What do you think might happen next then?
So we'll, despite the usual commercial activity, which is you just learn and move on, we feel it compelled to do it again and see how much the seasonal effect changes the results. So we've got to plan that, but I'm inclined to, yes, be patient, and we'll try it again and see how much it's modulated by seasonal changes.
And have you done a trial like this before, or is this something new?
No. Let me see, I've been grape growing in this district for 50 years this year, and this is our first official trial.
Was it a difficult decision to take part?
No, not at all. I think everyone welcomed the ability to get involved with some disciplined methods with the TR approach, and I think overall the enthusiasm has been very high for some cooperative research.
And what's your message to other producers who might be thinking about considering this trial?
Look, I think the message is if you've got problems, try and get expert assistance from industry or from academia, and do a progressive trial, changing one thing that you think is going to improve it, and see how that goes. You can do on-farm research, but it's a great help when we've got the involvement of experts.